Well, that's genuinely unfortunate. Regardless, welcome to the Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup Series here, presented by Heusinkveld. This is race number 3, week number 3 of the season. We're at the one and the only ever so famous, ever so beloved racetrack of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, CTMP, Mosport, whatever you want to call it. It is here for this week. Running the full layout as well. A couple drivers have already had a few issues in the uphill section of the, I would call it a hairpin. It's more of a double right-hander apex, but regardless, going to be a very exciting race here for all of you today. Qualifying is currently underway. We have about 3 minutes left in terms of which drivers have yet to put their times up here on the board. And we'll see where everyone sorts themselves out here in just over 3 minutes time. I am Gary Weaver. Thanks for tuning in to the Racing Line Network. I hope to bring you a very exciting race for you here this afternoon, this evening, or whatever time zone you are in. Let's go ahead and check in on a couple drivers. Let's see where everyone is going to be placing. Namely, this is number 8 of Gregorio Moreno Jr. He is currently on a lap as well, so we'll see what he can do in terms of the lap time. This is his first lap. The lap times around here are a minute and a half at best. Slowest time is a minute 34, and Moreno is just coming to the back straightaway. In fact, coming to what is effectively the third sector of the track, so we'll see what time he places here. So we'll go through the second to last corner. He does have enough time to make one more attempt. He does have time for one more lap, so let's go ahead and ride on board. No lap that time for Moreno. Oh, and that might be why. It's a very tricky exit. Did that time get invalidated is the question. I'll go back and have a look as well. Off turn number 1, effectively. Looking from up above, we are now currently in slow motion at half speed. Of course, iRacing works as that if you have half the car over into the grass, no, he is fine. That is on the limit, so he does still have a valid lap in store. So let's tune back in live. See his current speed. Here's where a couple drivers have been having issues, where I noticed on their out laps at least. Namely that second portion, but such a tricky section. Just on the throttle, full throttle all the way down, upshift. Utilizing the entirety of the rev limiter set up for this smooth and fast weaving right-hander. Downshift a bit. Get yourself ready for the second to final corner. Swing back all the way to the left and all the way to the right. Challenging sequence, but across the line comes the 8 of Moreno Jr. He validated that lap too, actually. No time has come up for the number 8, so he will be starting either, looks to be 18th. So go off into the grass, but qualifying is complete. I'll go ahead and go through your starting grid for this afternoon. Joe Holmes starts off on the front row. Michael Folds joins him on that front row. He'll start off in the second place position. Third place is Nicholas Shepard. Fourth place, Tom Sanders. Taylor Mahon with a 133 dead starts off in the 5th place position. And then Atsushi Otsufun starts off in the 6th place position. Now we move on to the next 12 drivers, starting with Michael Coates, Logan Frey, They start 7th and 8th place, respectively. Charles Wolf starts 9th. 10th place is Matt Burgess. 11th place is going to be Wesley DeCruz. And then Jean-Francois St. Pierre starts off in the 12th place position. And then down to the final portion of the grid, we have Matt Mullins starting off in 13th. Kevin Kramer starts 14th. 15th place is Daniel Deliberti. 16th place is Mark Kruger. And the last driver to set a lap time is Varun X Nambier, where Gregorio Moreno will start 18th with no lap time set. It is terrifyingly quiet. But regardless, all eyes up to the flagman, just waiting for the gridding process to be complete. Not everyone has gridded just yet. We're waiting on a few more drivers. There's Joe Holmes. Waiting on 3 more drivers. A 19-car grid, actually. We have João Victor Buzan starting off in the 19th place position. 20 seconds left for these drivers to grid. 2 drivers have yet to grid. 10th place, Matt Burgess, has not made it to the grid yet. We have 14 seconds left. Now he's gridded. Same with all cars. And now all eyes are on the lights. More specifically, the flagman. 30 minutes on the clock. Flag in hand. And we are green. Flag racing here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Joel Holmes with a great start. He retains the first place position, but look off in the back here. It's side by side. It looks to be a battle for about the 8th place position. A few drivers off the track. One of those is the 12. Off into the tire barriers he goes, and just like that, when his race is started, it is pretty much over. And no doubt some front wheel damage as well. Yeah, he's going to pull off to the side. Matt Mullins as well has made his way through that. I think Kevin Kramer as well had a bit of contact, or at least a bit of an excursion. But regardless, everyone makes it down to the hairpin, the double right-hand section, the challenging section of the track. Looks like everyone has made it through A-OK. Battle for 13th, in fact, a position lost for the number 18 machine of Victor Bruzin. In fact, that is Nambier and Gregorio Moreno Jr. Moreno has fallen back a couple spots. All the way back up to 6th place, though, Logan Frey has made his way by Osafun. Relatively quick laps here this week compared to last week when we were at Watkins Glen. We had about 2-minute lap times. Down to the inside goes Logan Frey. He moves himself up to P5. As you see the leaders make their way by the camera. So drivers selectively on the brakes in some sections. Some earlier or later on the brakes more than others. Look at that. All of the back bumper is Tyler Mahone. To the left-hand side goes Osafu, and taking a look at this battle for 6th place, just behind Logan Frey. On the uphill, hard on the brakes, there goes Mahone. You can see just the suspension doing all of the work there on the uphill section. He passes for position further back. Kramer's gotten by Moreno Jr. I think Moreno does have some sort of damage there. Not seeing anything on the front grille particularly, but he is has been off-put a little bit. Regardless, we'll head back up to the Everso Brewing 6th place battle, which might turn into a 4th place battle here because Logan Frey has caught up to Nicholas Shepard here for 4th place. Logan maybe a little bit earlier on the brakes, or at least a little bit early on letting off of the throttle before Nicholas Shepard. The Shepard able to brake later, but he'll go wide. Frey does make the apex. Still retains the 4th through 5th place positions. Everything's stagnant for now. 26 minutes remaining here. An estimate of 20 laps for this week. And of course, since this is an official session, incident points do count. So if drivers get 17 incident points, good luck. Matt Mullins has made his way towed into pit road, actually. Not sure as to why. The pass for the lead, however, is in progress. Just as we come back to look, that's Michael Folds on the left-hand side. He'll make his way by Joe Holmes on the outside. Holmes fights back on the inside with the preferred lane. It's still side by side as Michael Folds will try and loop around the left-hand side, not able to do so. Gets the switchback down the front straightaway. It's not for the finish, but it still is for the lead as they go side by side. Folds, I just caught his nose, was up ahead, and that's going to bring Tom Sanders into this battle as well. So 3 cars now battling for 5th as positions swap in the back. The 6 of Burgess is around. Same with Osafun, who is towed back to pit road. A relatively calm but still chaotic first 5 minutes of this race, and we still have 24 left. Well, while we have a chance, let's see if we can take a look at everything that has occurred so far. We'll hold off, actually, because this first place battle with 3 cars might start to spice up a little bit here down the straightaway. We're not too far off from Shepard and the looks to be Shepard, Frey, and Mahone. There goes Joe Holmes to the left-hand side. The opposite of what happened 1 lap ago. Holmes not able to clear Folds, though, as Folds is going to slide just a little bit. He actually does clear Holmes, but just for a moment, just barely shuts the door. That is precision in knowing what amount of space that you have with these MX-5s. We see it happen in real life, too, with the MX-5s for the IMSA Support Series, and man, are they ever precise. It is absolutely impressive to see. Not only virtually, but in real life as well. That's being showcased here. Here comes Holmes to the inside. Nearly makes contact, just avoids. But this battle for first is not quite over. Holmes is going to back off a little bit. Nearly makes contact with Tom Sanders. Just shuts the door. Could barely fit a piece of paper through that gap, I think. Remember what I said about half a lap ago, about 30 seconds ago, if you will, is that it could bring in Shepard, Frey, and Mahone, and they are pretty much within drafting distance here. Get a replay of what happened with a few of the drivers here as soon as we can, but right now the main focus might be on this lead battle. Everyone having different forms of ideas of when they want to make a pass, but the one thing is clear is that this is the prime passing opportunity. But you have to pick the proper lane, and of course you just have to hope they can swing the car around the outside, carry that momentum, and that's exactly what Holmes is going to try and do as they go side by side once again. Holmes gets put well offline. He'll come back just in front of Tom Sanders, but he's not able to carry the momentum in front of Folds. So for now, that lead battle has stagnated, but this has brought in Shepard, Frey, and Mahone. Sanders all over the curb there in turn 1. While we have a chance, we're going to take a look back and see what exactly had happened here. Lap number 1, Matt Burgess had some sort of contact. There's in that shiny black and blue Mazda. Not sure. It's definitely on lap 1. A few of the drivers had gone off in the background as well. As the 12 getting into the tire barrier, we saw that live. I'll come back to it when we are able to, but the car that is currently off is Daniel Diliberti. That just happened literally just a few seconds ago, so we'll see if we can get a shot of what happened to Diliberti. And just gets the curb and, oh, nails the inside wall. Hang back live, and of course leave it to the leaders to decide right when doing replays. It's time to make a pass for the lead as Holmes has cleared Folds. But is Folds going to try and fight back? No, he does show the nose a bit. He's not able to capitalize just yet. In fact, will he be advantageous? Will he make a pass into turn 1 here? He does have the opportunity. He does go for the move in turn 1. Side by side, Folds left side tires on the curb. Exactly like what happened with Tom Sanders the last lap before we had gone to replays, but Folds not able to carry the momentum, the curbs offsetting the car, and just unsettling the grip that he had. Not necessarily able to make the move as of yet. As we see, actually, oh, well, I was wondering why Joe Holmes had gotten a little bit loose. That's why. Folds had capitalized for the gap. A bit nervous to go to the replay because I feel like they're about to make a pass here in a few moments, so we'll wait and see. Yep, there goes Holmes right into the braking zone, deep on the brakes, but he goes off the track. He's going to send himself into third place. Sanders moves up to second. And by the way, actually, no, correction. Holmes falls back to third. That's Nicholas Shepard that actually snuck his way through here. So my apologies. Sanders is actually in fourth place. Nicholas Shepard is in second, and it's Holmes that is third. I figured Shepard hadn't really made a move just yet, but apparently he had snuck his way up through. Getting pushed, and he's going to nearly spin, but Holmes was all over the back bumper. Shepard tries to hold on to it, does save it, although he will fall back to sixth. But I'd rather, if I was in his situation, I'd rather a save rather than fully being taken out. But that could have been so much worse. Holmes all over the back bumper of Shepard into the braking zone. And Shepard, great car control to not take out, well, himself and Michael Folds in the process. But a little bit aggressive with 19 minutes left to go here in this event. You have to be knowledgeable that going into a braking zone, it's best to just give up your own momentum if you're pushing somebody. It's better to just sit back and wait rather than lay on top of their back bumper, but we'll see how things go. As we have a few pairs of twos here, as Holmes is all over the back bumper of Folds. Tom Sanders, third place once again. Logan Frey as well sits fourth. Fifth place, Tyler Mahone. Sixth place is Nicholas Shepard. Let's take a look back here at the eighth place position, actually. Jean-Francois St. Pierre and Wesley DeCruz, 8th and 9th. They may be making a pass here on this same straightaway, where we're seeing a change for the lead once again. Around the outside is going to be Joe Holmes, although hard on the brakes goes Michael Folds. Just from up above, you can see how much momentum and how much Folds trusts the MX-5. Just able to absolutely throw the car into the braking zone. Trust the car, trust momentum. No doubt a lot of practice put into this race for this afternoon. For anyone who is interested, I believe the strength of field as well is roughly around... Just wanted to saw a car go flying off here, and I did. That's the 14 of Tyler Mahone. Well, Mahone's already out. Here comes Holmes to the inside. Tyler Mahone, did he do the exact same thing that occurred earlier as getting shoulder checked off the track is Michael Folds? Well, intriguing that two cars in the span of, I think, 3 laps have been in some way pushed off the track by the two of Holmes. Now, I'm not implying that Holmes is necessarily being reckless. However, it's a 30-minute race, and we're just over halfway, so a little bit of care has to be put in. You have to make sure you make it to the end and treat your opponents with respect, or they may not do the same to you in return. We'll take a look at what happened to Mahone here in a few moments if we have the opportunity, because here comes Tom Sanders around the outside. He's going to back off, maybe try for the switchback here. Not able to capitalize, though. So he'll stick behind the two of Holmes for the time being. While we have a chance, let's see if we can go to a replay to see what happened with Mahone. And it is, yeah, the exact same thing that happened before. My goodness, with more of a vicious hit. Just nose first into the wall. Gets unsettled on that curve. To back live. The top four are Holmes, Sanders, Frey, and Folds. Shepard sits off in the distance here in 5th place. He started 3rd. Logan Frey, I think the driver. Actually, we do have the information for this as well. That's the start positions. There we go. Most gained positions goes to... Looking through in the timing tower. A couple drivers. Victor Buzin, who is gained 7 positions. Same with Mark Kruger. And that looks to be the most positions gained between all the drivers in the field so far. And here comes Michael Folds. He's going to look off to the left-hand side of Logan Frey. He's going to use the draft of Tom Sanders, who's just up ahead as well, as Sanders makes his way by around the outside of Joe Holmes. Sanders couldn't quite clear. Folds does clear Frey. And we go again for another lap, under halfway. 14 minutes at the line, give or take about 20 seconds. But the clock still continues to run down, as Shepard's last lap time was about a 1/10 of a second faster than Logan Frey, but he's running roughly the same amount of time as these leaders. But of course, because this top four are all running together, it's going to be more and more difficult to try and catch up. So Shepard's going to have to be deep on the brakes in some of these corners if he does want any hope of trying to catch up. Riding on board the 4 of Logan Frey is, look at this, uphill elevation change. Just uphill on the brakes, turning in the same process. It is, it's a tire's worst nightmare, because that is pure lockup material depending on which car you're driving. And boy, oh boy, is it ever a challenge. And look at Folds here. We actually have a good view of this. Folds dives over to the right-hand side of Tom Sanders. Not sure if Sanders just didn't want to protect it, wanted to let Folds through, or just decides, well, you know what? He's running up here in second. This isn't exactly my fight. On board from Tom Sanders, look at that. We can see just from the body language of the cars that Folds was trying to look for any sort of opening to get to Joe Holmes, to put that nose right on that back bumper. Correction, right alongside the back bumper. And just like that, it's as we were for the top 4. Let's see if we have a chance right now. Hopefully we do. To catch up with a couple of replays. We have Michael Coates, who, that's the driver that went off. Here we go. We have Matt Mullins making contact, I believe, with Daniel DeLiberti. And there's the 15 spinning off into the infield. Number 15 being, yeah, Daniel DeLiberti. So that was the lap 1 crash that had occurred just off camera on lap number 1. Back to live pictures. 12 minutes remaining. No position change for the top 4 yet, although, wow, it looks like Folds was actually able to carry a little bit more momentum there. A little bit more daring on the gas pedal, it seems. I'll switch to the interval as well. So now the timing tower show the gaps to the cars ahead. Here comes Folds to the left-hand side. The last time he did this, he got pushed off the track obviously unintentionally. Left side tires on the grass. Contact is made, and no doubt it's from the lack of grip from the grass. The turn in doesn't help it. Folds deep on the brakes. He gets by Holmes. Holmes gets loose. That allows Sanders to go by for second, but not for long. Holmes goes back up to second. This brings Shepard back into this battle, and a little bit of a gap has been created for Michael Folds. A little bit of breathing space here. And so you loop back around for the lap number 13 of 20. Holmes, huge wiggle off turn number 1 there. And that is fish killing if I ever saw it there for a race car. I saw Shepard maybe wanted to make a pass on Logan Frey. Decided against it. Both part of the same general, I guess, organization or team or what have you of a Box 5. Deep on the brakes. Folds actually too much on the brakes, I think, because Tom Sanders has just nailed the back bumper of Michael Folds. I was wondering what happened. I don't know if Folds is going to try and outbrake Holmes into the second right-hander, but Logan Frey's front end is absolutely crushed. I do not see a meatball flag on our status as well, so Sanders is still good to continue. And Folds all over the back bumper. Both drivers over the curb. Careful, guys. Both sideways as well. We still have 10 minutes left. They're racing like it's the final lap here. Here comes Shepard making the pass on Logan Frey. Shepard back up to 4th. Sanders with heavy front end damage. I'll see if we can run this back to the... I'll see if we can go back live for the time being. I'll try and get that contact one more time, but man, oh man, that was heavy, heavy contact. It's not just as it happened. Maybe not from the most ideal angle, but we did see that as it happened. I'll see what happens here this time by. Once again, Folds chasing Holmes on the uphill. Oh, just getting onto the back bumper. Contact is made. Both drivers are off. Down to the bottom portion of the top 5 they go. Well, as someone who occasionally does racing and, well, mostly does racing, occasionally does commentary, from the most unbiased perspective that I can personally attest, 2 words, calm down. Because remember, this is an official session. This is not a league. This counts for safety rating. This counts for iRating. This counts for everything on the iRacing service. This is an official session on iRacing. This just happens to be the top split. But yeah, you have to be careful. Again, like I brought up earlier, you have to be careful with these drivers that you could be racing day in, day out, even hourly. In some cases as well. You just have to keep in mind that the last lap isn't the last lap. I mentioned this 2 laps ago now, basically. They're racing like it's the last lap, and, well, we saw how that turned out for 2 of the drivers with the highest iRating in this split. That's why they're numbered 1 and number 2. Let's see if that may be new to watching this. The numbers are basically given by the highest to lowest iRating, and in this case, special shout out to Jean-Francois St. Pierre, who is effectively 17th highest iRating. He qualified 12th. He currently sits in 6th place. So shout out to that number 17 machine. Keep an eye on him on the timing tower and see where he finishes by the end of the race. Significantly cleaner through the double right-hander this time. But we have drivers with the 3rd, 5th, and 4th highest iRatings. The 4th listed iRatings as, oh my gosh, Shepard with one heck of a defensive move. They're going to be 3 wide. Back to 2 wide. Shepard deep on the brakes on the outside. Slides a little bit, I think, but a little bit of slip angle of the car. Never hurt anybody. He was able to carry that momentum. Retains the lead. I'll go around again with 6.5 minutes left. An estimate of about 5 laps to go this time by. That lap count that we are seeing on our timing screen has not changed. We have, well, that's not going to show up on the that's not going to show up on the graphic. This is not a official lap session. It's more of a time session. We'll see if we can do that. Well, that almost works. Almost. But regardless, the battle is still on. We have 6 minutes left. The top 5 in the land of their own. And gosh, I hope not, but maybe potentially a whole host of carnage still yet to occur. Shepard hard on the brakes. Sanders follows through. Frey as well stays in line. 10th Folds and Holmes. A little bit of contact as well again in this section. We see the visual gap that's created here. I'm not sure. We do have enough time, and maybe at the expense of missing the pass to the lead. We'll hold off here. At the expense of missing a pass to the lead, let's ride on board Joe Holmes here. Oh, just way too much momentum. So carrying way too much speed into the just carrying way too much speed into the double right-hander is pretty much what happens. As someone who's probably going to race the MX-5 series a fair bit this week, I'm a bit terrified. Especially in that double right-hander, but we'll see how things go. But considering the carnage that we've seen so far, just in that one section alone, oh boy. The top 3 will be interviewed in not exactly 4 minutes time, but upon the completion of the race, we'll get interviews with the top 3 if possible. Let's see, I might have to start using this race as future reference for the absolute carnage that could occur in just that one corner alone. It's Tyler Mahone. Well, let's go through the drivers that are officially out, which are Michael Coates, Matt Mullins, Matt Burgess, and Tyler Mahone. All of them have officially left their cars in the virtual garage, if you will. Atsushio Safun is still running. Might be able to get a couple, at least one more spot on Tyler Mahone here. Oh, wait a minute. Contact made again. Folds is off. Folds is off in the final corner. He's off. Does he have steering damage? He tows back to pit road. I heard the screech of tires, and it ends in the grass for the number 1 machine. What has occurred for Michael Folds? What has happened here? Holmes goes to the inside. Oh, no. No. Oh, we'll run this back on board one more time. We're a bit farther back, but let's run this back on board. You can hear Holmes actively lifting, just trying to push Folds to catch up to the top 3. Oh, man. All right, back one more time, but from up above. And in slow motion as well. Holmes sees the gap, but that move just was not on. That move was absolutely not on, in my personal opinion. Trying to catch up to the top 3, and then the next thing you know, you're trying to pass the guy that you're helping. Well, yikes. Regardless, this time by 2 laps to go. As mentioned last week, it is not time plus 1 lap, so it's not 30 minutes plus 1 lap. We do have a pass for 9th place. Nambier gets by Kramer for 9th. That's not time plus 1 laps. The next time by, it will be the white flag. We'll see how things fare here going into the second half of the racetrack. Box 5, effectively all top 3. Shepard, Sanders, Frey, then Holmes. And Jean-Francois St. Pierre, I did say keep an eye on the number 17 on the timing tower. He's currently sitting in 5th right now, by the way, as a result of that. And this time by, it will be the white flag. Can they all make it cleanly? Please, I hope they all make it cleanly. They're going to go side by side here. Holmes pushing Sanders around the outside of Shepard. Sanders breaks a little bit early. That's going to be side by side between Frey and Sanders. Into the second to final corner. Space being given between both of those drivers as Frey slides out of the final corner, does hold on to it. This time by, it is indeed the final lap, and Shepard has one heck of a gap, about 0.6 of a second. Well off track goes Logan Frey. Holmes had dived to the left-hand side. That puts Frey offline. Holmes up to 3rd. Sanders going to be trying to chase down Shepard as much as he can. And we see the target that Sanders has in front of him. How deep will he go on the brakes? Holds on to it, everyone cleanly through. And it might just be ever so slightly, the slightest, and I mean the slightest breath of slipstream here down this straightaway. The gap is closing. Sanders being pushed by Holmes. Shepard will be taking the defensive line here into the last few corners. Holmes goes to the outside. Can he make it on the brakes? Around Tom Sanders he goes. Shepard, though, will stay in line. And he holds firm. Final corner, this time by, it's going to be the number 3 of Nicholas Shepard, who takes the win at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup Series. Contact made off in the back, but it's checkered flag, and wait a minute. Jean-Francois St. Pierre, who might get a last-second pass. He was going to get past at the last second. Falls down to 10th, but finishes in the top 10 regardless. And this is your race winner. After everything is all said and done, Nicholas Shepard in the number 3 machine, able to get it done. He was on the outside looking in quite literally throughout the early portion of this race, and carnage has occurred. And we see how things had played out, especially for this driver of the number 1 of Michael Folds. Three drivers still finishing up their laps, I believe. Everyone has finished up their laps as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the finishing results here for this week. It's Nicholas Shepard finishing in the first place position after everything is all said and done. What a battle. Joe Holmes finishes in second. Logan Frey third with a drag race off in the background with Tom Sanders for the last spot on the podium. Charles Wolfe gets the 5th place position. 6th place is Wesley DeCruz. Mark Kruger finishes in 7th. Kevin Kramer finishes in 8th. 9th place is Varun Nambier. And Jean-Francois St. Pierre finishes in the 10th place position. And then the second half of the field is I'm definitely going to mispronounce his first name. So we'll go with Victor Buzin. He finishes in 11th place. 12th place is Gregorio Moreno Jr., who I believe has the one of the highest gained positions alongside Victor Buzin. They started 19th and 18th. They finished 11th and 12th. Shout out to Victor Buzin and Moreno Jr. for being able to just basically keep it clean, let's be honest. And then we move on to a staggering amount of drivers that did not finish. Michael Folds, Atsushi Osifun did finish on track, but the 15th through 19th drivers were not able to finish. Taylor Mahone, Daniel DeLiberti, Matt Burgess, Matt Mullins, and Michael Coates round out your finishing order here for this afternoon. Boy, oh boy, that was definitely a race that occurred. I'll go ahead and get an interview with the as many drivers as we can in the top 3 if we are able to. So let's see if we can go ahead and get a word in here. So we can get a word here with, oh, maybe some of the drivers. All right, we'll wait just a couple moments to see if anyone is able to. But regardless, what a race, and we'll go ahead and recap all the incidents that happened, because boy, oh boy, there were quite a few. Michael Coates on lap 1, we saw him slide wide. We saw this as it happened. Missed what was happening in the background with the driver Matt Mullins and collecting a few other drivers, 15. I believe that was the 5 as well. Daniel DeLiberti that was caught up in it. Victor Buzin had ended up in some sort of a spin in the hairpin section. There it goes. I saw some drivers on their outlaps spin in that exact section, just not in the exact same way. Atsushi Osifun gets doored off the track. My goodness. And that was with the number 6 machine as well of Matt Burgess. So that's what happened to the number 6. I was wondering what happened with him as well. Daniel DeLiberti, we had seen, nails the inside wall, and then just 3 laps later, Taylor Mahone does the exact same thing, but way more aggressively, more nose first. And then everything was relatively fine until then, until here, where an ambitious move, to say the least, had occurred. Here's what happened with Jean-Francois St. Pierre. Had just spun. Let's see if we can run this back a little bit more. Getting pushed into the corner and just barely gets contacted. So close to finishing in the top 5, but no fault of his own. Just a racing deal there by the very end. And when all is said and done, came down to the number 3 of Nicholas Shepard. Fortunately, this week, I don't believe we'll be able to be getting any post-race interviews, but regardless, we will still bring you the racing action for the future, because next week is going to be, I think, I'll have to double check, the second longest race on the calendar as we head to the Bend. And boy, oh boy, this is going to be absolutely chaotic for sure. Tune in next week on the Racing Line Network, July 7th, at the exact same time where this has gone up as well, where we will head to the Shell V Power Motorsport Park at the Bend for week number 4. We'll all see you next week in the MX-5s.